Save the rest of my stories for the stream.
The stream! What up, YouTube? It's Thursday night. I should turn the music down. You're listening to the Hi There Show. It is Thursday, March 24th. What up? My name is Nick Brunt. I am joined, as always, with my co-host, Ian Conrad. What up, Ian?
I'm in a pinkish orange room tonight, and enjoying a kind of a warm hue.
Sort of like a tropical, sort of like sundown in Miami kind of vibe. Like web.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I like to work. It looks warm. Well, cool. What up? How you doing? How was your week? Have you had any good experiences?
Oh, yeah. Have I had? I did have some good experiences, I think.
And by experiences, of course, I mean user experiences. As a user,
I have had some experiences. I went to Costco.
Oh, really?
That was a good experience.
Okay.
I think so. I think it was good.
It's pretty good. They shuffle you
Pretty
in
good.
sort of like cattle. And you give them your money and they allow you to leave. Well, they have to check your card.
Very controlled.
Yeah.
That was strange. Like they checked it for like I was sure like we were gonna get arrested because they were looking. It was very weird.
Really? Usually when I go by, like, they don't look and they take this Sharpie and start at one end of the receipt and they just draw this big line on it and they're like, you've passed.
Yeah, it's strange. I was wondering if that's a psychological thing that they do to make you feel like you're part of this special, important thing. And it's like, Costco's prices are so good, they need like security guards, like analyzing your receipts. Even though it was like a young kid without a weapon, I wasn't intimidated by them, but...
Well, you should have. I mean, imagine if you were to pull a weapon and sort of assert yourself. You know? Yeah, I mean, you're not stealing anything. You're like walking out sort of gently sobbing about how much money you spent. My parents
it's like,
call it
but
the
I thought it was a
$500
good
club.
deal.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I'll take 50,000 shaving razors so I don't look like a dirtbag. Whatever. I'm in. Here's my money. I actually read, speaking on the consumer experience thing, that the person checking your cart is less about catching shoplifters, because to shop there, you're a member, right? Like, so you have a card. And
it would be hard to steal something from that place.
Exactly.
Everything's too big.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a cattle breaking out of the cattle lineup. You just get prodded and you go back in the line. But yeah, so I read that's more about checking that cashiers haven't missed things. So like things on the bottom of the cart, like a huge thing of, I don't know, toilet paper or whatever.
Interesting. Okay.
And they're just checking for like certain items because those cashiers apparently, check in 1 trillion items a day.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the Costco minute.
Yeah, the Costco minute. Well, I was saying my experience was great because there's like 3 or 4 cashiers like at the same time, like working, like passing your stuff along like so fast I couldn't even like bag it. And they're doing it anyway.
Anything. Do they still have those like 13 monkeys post-apocalyptic barriers up? All very necessary. Yeah. Listen, COVID precautions, way on board with. It's just Costco is this giant concrete warehouse, as I'm sure a lot of people listening are aware. And so when they put up those plastic barriers and the sort of loose plastic barriers everywhere, they sort of start to feel like really grisly, sort of like hurting, sort of government quarantine facility vibes. That didn't feel good.
It's a mood, yeah.
It is
mood. Also pro health measures, absolutely.
Yeah, hugely pro health measures. Yeah,
I don't know how like some saran wrap. Yeah, it 1 square meter of saran wrap, like in a 40 million square foot store, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not the scientist.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You're not an immunized.
Sometimes I just wonder about this.
Yeah, you can wonder. This is our show. You're literally allowed to wonder whatever you want here.
Yeah, this is our show. Can't get kicked off.
No, you can't.
Kick us off our own show.
We did get that COVID warning that night.
You're like Ian. It's not working. You're not on the show anymore.
Yeah, I was talking to our secret third member of the Ghost, the Web Ghost. You're out. Winston,
Right,
your
well,
cat,
it's a good run.
way in. So you were working on your cat. I was working on a poll. You and I have been talking about polling and surveying UI this week a lot. I've been working on it constantly lately in my jobs.
Interesting.
So I kind of figured that's where we'd start.
That sounds like a fun
he's
thing
so good.
to do.
Your profile picture is covering up Winston right now, but me and those yammering lips. If you can zoom out a little bit, I think you'll get him.
I can do this.
Yum, 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 yum.
That's
yum,
pretty
yum,
funny.
Yum, yum, yum.
I can't believe how that actually worked. Oh, then I did this one after we ended the stream. It's like half looping, but you have to if you hit the R button, it restarts the prototype.
Mm-hmm.
But when the prototype starts, it does one like open and close. So then if you hit R, it restarts it. So you can just like keep tapping the R button. It makes it like interactive. It's like, hello, Gov, I'm talking cat. And then if you hold R, it's yelling because it restarts it so fast it just doesn't.
So
I'm hacking Figma.
that would be a fun Figma change. Imagine if you could map interactions, like prototype interactions, to certain keys, like key bindings. You could make a whole sort of like orchestra of an app.
You can
demo
make a
presentation.
Yeah.
You make a heck of a thing.
A heck of an app.
I was thinking one heck of an app. That's our studio name. One heck of an app.
One heck of an app. That's a heck of an app.
Oh, that's a heck of an app.
Heckin' good apps. People would. We have a picture. Just put a picture of a dog.
Heckin'. Yeah, that'd get.
No, heckin' good apps, and our logo is like a golden retriever.
Yep.
I'll get
there's
a
a demographic
$5,000
there that
contract tomorrow.
You definitely could. Yes, if you get the right URL, put it out there.
Well, we should talk after. Someone asked me if I did any web dev work anymore because they knew that we used to have a thing, and I'm like, no. They're like, oh, I know someone that needs a website. I'm like, oh, I'll take a look at it. Actually, it wouldn't be a stream candidate.
I totally empathize with that feeling of like that gut wrenching, like, oh my god, no, my.
Do you want to work? Do you want to work more?
Do you want to work more? Do you want to do freelance?
Do you want to earn some money that is worth nothing now?
Yeah,
now that money isn't worth anything, do you want to spend your free time like earning some of it?
Earn some more, man.
Buy yourself an Uber.
Freelance is tough. I always found freelance web work tough because you say it and you believe it. This is going to take 20 hours. We're going to do this and this and that, and it's going to be great. And a certain amount of expertise helps with that, I think, over time. But, man, it never works out like that. And so by the time you get your freelance check, you've just beaten the shit out of yourself to the point that you don't even care. You're like, I don't fucking know.
And you're like, this shouldn't have taken me this long. And
I'm mad, and they took forever to pay.
Getting over the hump, yeah. And then trying to like keep work. I've known people that have like not gotten paid for months and months, and then like having to keep working because it's like if they stop working, like they're almost like I should just like bail. But then if they quit working, then the project bombs and like the client doesn't pay. And then
there's no chance.
You know what I mean? Like
paid.
they were screwed. It was so hard for me to get. It was so hard for me to get over the hump of actually charging for my hours.
Yeah,
because I'd be working,
being honest,
tracking, like being honest in the sense of like not underbilling, like because I'd be like, oh well, I fucked around, not fucked around, but it's like, oh that I couldn't get this working for like 2 hours, but it's like, no, that's labor, man.
Yeah, it's tough. I think time alleviates that, like once you get some experience under your belt. But yeah, being young and like, you know, struggling to get through those files, struggling to get paid, and like especially when you're young, pre-career, it's like, Oh, hey, that works. Cool, my poll works. It worked the first time. Especially when you're young in your career, you're making like financial decisions like based on that money that you know is coming. It's just a whole mess. Freelancing is cool. Anyway, we should do that file that you were talking about. Let's talk later.
Let's get some money.
So we built a poll last week, and we've been talking about surveying. I kind of had an idea where I want to clean up this poll component a little bit, and then I was going to put it in a carousel so we could do like 3 to 5 question options.
Like click like when you answer one, you go to the next kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Multiple
Are you looking
questions.
at this on your screen? Here, look,
Yeah.
I can put 4 circles on this, and you'll immediately know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I think I can just build that into one component, and I think it should be kind of standardized and easy. So we'll see.
Yeah, I bet I was building a weird poll thing at work today. I kind of had to suck a little bit of I had to take the words out.
Oh, no words. No words. Those are my favorite kind of surveys. The ones where they don't ask you anything.
This was just a quick thing I did. It's basically the same thing you have as a poll, but long story short, the reason I did it was just to like show a couple of like answers that people gave to a thing. So I was just like, oh, here's like the answers. And then I made, oh, will it work? Because I've copied and pasted this from, I was like, this persona had these answers. And I just needed a really quick way to do it. So I made this thing where I could just select the answers and then I just edit them. And they should be multiple lines. I just needed to paste stuff in. Yeah.
On personas, we were talking about persona cards earlier. I thought that was kind of a fun project.
Yeah, that's another thing that we could eventually do.
So
there's some stuff there.
Well, so I mean, all you design heads out there, all you UX UI hi there fanboys out there, are familiar with persona mapping. So developing when you're planning a digital project, when you're help me fill this in, Ian. Oh my god.
I mean,
you're basically creating personalities, named people who represent certain demographics using your product, and you try and map out their hopes and dreams.
Yeah, we're using ours are all based on like their behaviors, so it's like, I mean, I can talk about work a little bit actually, so it's not so dang obscure. Like I work at a company
you can talk about, I get we're always like NDA'd or whatever, but you can talk about what you do without
I can like legit, I work at a company that sells appliance parts, and we're working on personas, and this won't be any secret or surprise, but one of the personas is like this expert person that like is just really good at fixing everything. They don't need help. They don't really need any help, which is stuff we have. We have lots of great videos and
so your archetypical
they just want to buy a part.
Expert user. Yeah.
So that was one persona, was like an expert, DIY person. We've spoken to some of them and they're like,
okay.
So that's one of our personas, and it's like, so based on that, so we're making like, you've probably seen like persona diagram or designs.
We're
putting stuff together. It's got like the characteristics of like got the characteristics of that person, like the types of things that they do and whatnot.
It even goes into like, maybe I can pull one up in a browser.
My issue is that like I want them to look nice, but I don't want to use a photo of a person because I think it's wrong, because that's not at all correct.
Well, it sort of makes a certain
unless it is, but like, for example, like unless it's very specific into a demographic, but personas aren't demographics, they're psychographics. And
here's an example.
Probably there's probably another word that describes like behavioral stuff. So it's not like a persona isn't like, a white male aged 40 to 50. You know what I mean? So like you can't get a picture of that. It's like some of our experts are white, and some of our people in this expert category are white, some of them aren't. So what color of a person do you use? Some of them are old, some of them are not old. So what age of a person do you use? And some of them are male, some of them are female, some of them might not be either. So what gender do you use? And to me, like a persona should, all the information should be relevant. So if you put a picture of an old person, and that's where I find the biggest, where it skews the people the most. It even gets me. It's like you put a picture of someone that's old, you're gonna think that, oh, they're not good with technology, they might be a boomer, they can't read.
Yeah, totally.
Like
you're surfacing your personal prejudices in the workplace. I get it.
Yeah, and then you put a young person, and I've seen this done so many times. It's like the young person, and it's you have the CEO is an old white man, not good with technology, and that's just like incorrect. And then you have like this young like millennial, and they're like super good with technology and this and that, and it's like that's not always true either. Like it just, anyway, that's my rant. I find it just throws people off.
No, I get it. And just to contextualize a bit of what you're saying, so persona mapping when you're doing user experience and interface planning can go as far as, let's add a photograph and things like, I'm looking at an example right now I have pulled up in my browser. Interests: cycling, kayaking in Lake Travis, comedy shows, fine dining with friends. Like, those are all things that everyone in the whole world likes. But you want to fill in a personality. I think that the photo, this sort of bridges what I wanted to talk about. I think that the photo is sort of, it's more about making the person memorable to the team that's working on it, because a lot of times, like, these products can involve, 20, 30, 40, however many people, however big of a project it is. And it sort of lets the team remember who that persona is as you're going through the lifespan of the project. But that being said, I totally agree with you, Ian, because there's nothing in any of these persona charts that like genders a person. Like, anyone can like cycling and kayaking, like anyone can be, a handy DIY person. So I agree with you. It's not relevant. Like, planning around a photograph is silly. But bridging to what the project that we were talking about was, a lot of times you have to build these documents for organizations. It's a huge pain in the ass. Anyone who listening works in UX has built one of these before. And we were talking about doing like a proper template for this that sort of served the goals that you were talking about. And B, I had this idea for, what if we could take this persona and then boil it down to a little component card that maybe talks back and forth with the larger customer persona component in Figma. And then that's the thing that you drag around the product. So there's sort of a source of truth for the users in your planning documentation. I'm fucking so far out there on this thought right now, Ian. I don't know if it even makes sense to you. Does that make sense?
Well, we talked about it before, so yeah, it does. Like, when I said card, I did mean like those big ones that you're talking about. But I think when you said like a little driver's license thing, I was like, I could actually use that too as like a mini thing, where it's like, because we have our personas that we're going to be talking about, but then when we reference them in documents or like decks or like strategy things, we could like drop them in there like little mini things, and I think that would be dope.
I think that would be dope.
And yeah, that's why I'm torn on the pictures, because I have them in my personas right now. Part of where we went with that was we did actually talk to people like on video, and so we kind of picked people that looked like the first one, like the one that came to mind. Like we sort of formed like a persona around this one, almost like one memorable person. And so
do you ever find when you're working on these personas, because I mean, these are subject to research, so you're researching your demographics and trying to get an understanding of how they use your project or product. And maybe you're getting this information through testing or whatever. But do you ever find that there's maybe like a persona syndrome where teams are writing personas that fit like an ideal person that they have in mind? Like,
yeah,
we have someone who's really good at it, and we have someone who's really bad, and then we have like a quirky person who just can't focus. Like, they're kind of like, yes, those are real people, but also almost nobody is totally like that.
That's exactly that's the trouble, and we're facing it now, and I don't know what the solution is going to look like. Actually, I've never really done, and I don't think many companies really do persona type stuff. It can be kind of bad, I think, and useless in a lot of times if it's not done well, or if you just make it up. Oftentimes people just be like, oh, these are our people, and then we never talk to them. You never like reference or talk about it again.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we got some information and somebody wrote it into an impenetrable 3-page Google Doc that they presented at a meeting, and that's where that information dies, like, forever.
Yeah, and so I don't know what the answer is going to even be. Like, it might not look like the personas that we think about right now, because the problem is like we have these personas based around one kind of specific thing, like the actions that they take. Basically, if their fridge stops working, what do? There's ways there's like 3 questions you can ask people about that situation that will tell you what persona they are. But then if you add a different factor into that, it completely changes the game. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, then they just don't fit that persona anymore. It's like, it's this persona, but it's like, yeah, you can't mix the two things together, but you do. You take like 3 people that kind of fit that persona, and then you put them into one person, and it doesn't fit that well sometimes. One of the things that people do is just like, instead of like our persona as like an imaginary person, and this is kind of what we're sort of doing a little bit, is you just literally take one person that's like a representation of that persona, but then you just make it about that person. That way it's a real human, not just some made up like perfect. Because yeah, like you said, you can get like,
it's sort of an ideal,
get
like you're
perfect. Yeah, you get that ideal, like, this is our perfect customer. It's like, but nobody's perfect. Nobody fits that exact mold.
Yeah, nobody is exactly that way. I mean, it's a good step. Like, you know, none of this is bad. Like, doing the work to understand your users isn't bad. Even though you're saying it, I mean, purportedly it is.
What are all these things?
Auto layout breaks everything. Fuck that. Sorry. Did you ever hit auto layout in Figma and you think you got it all pulled together and it just goes to hell? What's this, Derek? Mark? Oh, hey, Mark. See, this is the length. This is the length with which giant companies go to understand their users. They produce documents like this, and it's kind of fucking creepy. Because Mark is a stock photo model that they bought for $4 off of Dreams Times.
Like, these look really good.
No, they do.
The problem is that I ran into is like, take any template. Like, I grabbed a template from Figma or FigJam, one of them.
Yeah.
And it's like I ran out of, like, it's nice, but I ran out of space. I need to type the amount of words I need to type.
Yeah.
And I just need, I didn't, and I found, I'm being a snob about it now, but I was just like, well, I don't have the same sections either. So I need kind of a custom design of this too. Because the age, like this is what really gets me, like the age thing, like that's, so what? The age has no, I mean, I guess it does a little bit.
Age matters more than gender, TBH.
It does. Age is the one that matters the most, because when people get older, your eyesight gets worse as you age. so that's a factor.
And you get lamer.
Yeah, like, who cares?
And your music sucks.
Who cares? Like this, the fact that she's 26 does not dictate whether she will buy something on your website.
Well, hold on. Doesn't it though? Like if you sell a gutter repair kit, there's probably not a lot of 26-year-olds that are going to be buying it. Favorite brands: Netflix, ASOS, Nike.
I mean, we don't know the age of any of it. Well, like we know the average age, but we don't know
the one that gets me is this sort of skill chart over here, like tech. She's got a 3 out of 5 in internet. What the fuck does that mean? Like
I don't know.
She knows internet. She knows internet.
But you should like this would be
Gadgets.
like an advertising. This would be like an advertising like market segment, because you would want to, like, age matters there, because when you buy ads, you put that stuff in, right?
Okay.
That's how you target people with ads sometimes. Some people do.
I mean, well, here's perhaps a point of contention. Point for contention, not of contention, but like, if your UX exercise, this is part of maybe a larger discussion. If your UX exercise is to convert users to sales, is it not a marketing exercise? Or is marketing not like an
it's in the sense of like, yeah, what characteristics about you like match the product, I guess. It's more about how you act, I guess, I think, and behave. Like this, I guess the other part about this is I don't know what this is a profile for. So it's hard to judge whether it's good or bad, because I don't know what they're making this for. It sounds like it's an interior design app or something.
I mean, it's hard to critique without the research, but this is bad. Like, this is a bad design. So bad. Well, it's I mean, Dribble, think about it. You're the designer. You're the fucking junior who's got to make the presentation. Having a junior is a really big design department, but like, you want to make 8 of these things for your document. You got to clean cut a photograph for each one of them so they pop off the edge of the frame. Like you said, it's not responsive, so you can't really just jam whatever you want in there. Like, yes, it looks good, but it's not really at all serving its function beyond the fact that there's copy on it. Like, we want a responsive version. Like, a version that you can really is like a Figma component. Like a flexible auto layout Figma component. Component. Every time I say component, it sounds worse. I had a meeting the other day. Have you ever done this in your UX life? UXing it up out there. Said engaging or engagement or compelling or something like that, just over and over and over in a meeting, and you're like, why can't I fucking stop saying engaging experiences?
Engage for sure. Compelling? I don't think I've used that too many times.
I like compelling until I say it 7 times. Sorry?
I'm trying to think of the things that I say over and over again.
Trying to think of how to build
roadmap. That's me. I'm just like roadmap. What's on the roadmap? Wants and needs are good categories to have. This is all that matters. Who cares about any of this? This is a person that wants to design a new apartment and add plants to her home. They want to add accessories to the living room. I don't need to know how old she is to make an app that does that. Again, I don't know enough about what they're talking about, but
yeah, I think that's a tough question, because
Brooklyn,
what you're describing is hypothetically an app that sells everything on the planet.
But she likes Netflix. Oh, cool. That's helpful. That's a niche product. I like to watch a TV show. Anyway, I'm being so bitter.
Well, hold on.
Early adopter, no.
I'm
If it was favorite app,
I'm crossed.
That would be cool because it's like, oh, why do you like this app? But favorite brand, I don't even know what that means. Like, do you like Apple as a you like Apple Corporation, or do you like the products they make? Do you think they're like they have a good CEO?
Yeah. Do you feel good about Nike's ethics? I think they're trying to fill in information maybe that people don't know to give you an impression of like somebody you may know. I mean, it does matter because again, there's not websites that sell everything on the planet. And this person that I'm looking at is less apt to buy certain things and more apt to buy others. And I could tell. It's not definitive, and I don't think that it's descriptive of user behavior, but like, I mean, I just think it matters to a certain degree.
Perhaps. Yeah, and maybe, again, depending on what this is actually for.
Well, I mean, I think that's where I'm sort of torn on this whole discussion because I do believe that the thing that just rolled out of my mouth, but at the same time, what does it matter for user behavior, right? Like, it could be option 1, option 2, option 3, and you're mapping out specific paths of people using your site without the fluff around the end. Toby Day. I'm gonna name this one.
That's another word that
I'm gonna name this one Toby. Toby Day.
Toby with an I.
If I had a way to share projects, if I had a way to share projects and collaborate in real time, that would make my workload so much easier to manage. Again, no human has ever thought that or said that. It's like what it's
Not
like.
quite
It's
like
a
that.
sales line for the app that she's employed for. Frustrations. That's interesting.
Oh, I like those. Those are always good. Where's the frustration? Slow download times.
Oh, I hate
That's good
that.
to know.
I need those blazing fast download times. Hey, Mom, it's your daughter, Toby. God, these downloads are so slow. My workflow would be so much better with Bell Gigabit 5, which is what we have in Canada. That's the fast internet in Canada. I don't even want to get into that whole debacle. What's that one on the left with the purple?
This?
This one? Yeah, her. I just like the design of this. Lots of visual
it's got like a quirky
sliders.
sideways.
I want my kids to be happy and safe. Great. That's fair.
They're not?
Okay.
From what? Can you be a little more specific?
See, this is why you have to interview your users, because like the follow-up of that could be anything. I want my kids to be happy and safe, period, is fine. I want my kids to be happy and safe, comma, from the dinosaurs attacking my family in this Jurassic Park-esque scene is different. Behavioral variables. I don't like visual sliders like this.
Me neither, and I have them on my on our personas right now because they came with the template, and it's like I was like, let's leave them in because it looks cool, but trying to slide them around, it's like, this doesn't make any sense. It's just like, it's like, get it. Yeah. What was it, like neat organization? I don't know, and it was like disorganized, organized. It's like, you can't.
But, I mean,
can't
perhaps
put that on a
it's
scale.
relevant to a specific product. No, I mean, what could you do with a scale that you couldn't just hit with a sentence of information? Like,
exactly.
Back to the tech thing. It's like online shopping. It's like you see a 4 out of 5 when really you could just say likes to shop online frequently, is very comfortable with shopping online. Boom. And you have context.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess all this to say,
picking the shit out of this. I think to your average,
I know,
I'm like, sounds insufferable, but it is important because this is how you have to. This is how you have to build this stuff, and people pay you a bunch of money. They want it to look cool.
This one's cool looking. Anyway,
Nerdy
tying it
Nina, holy archetype.
These are all the same. This is really stupid.
That's really
anyway,
fucking
pull
stupid.
it all together.
I also fucking hate that whoever designed this was like nerdy Asian girl into a stock photo app, and that's what they got, and that just feels bad. Sorry, keep going. Not to bum you out.
No, all right, let's put this to bed. Yeah, all is to say, look, this is the same stuff as on the other cards. Persona, the reason this gets done, do whatever works for you, but yeah, it's really just think about like the things that matter. I guess when you're doing this kind of thing, it's really just understanding. To me, like the value is just understanding that you have different types of users. If you do, you probably do. You know what I mean? With whatever you're doing. Unless you're like maybe super niche app, like a medical research app for like there's apps for like doctors, you know, where it might not be as broad of a use. Even then, there's probably different types of doctors. But anyway, all I'm saying is helps you recognize that you've got different types of users that might either be coming from different places or like need different levels of support or have different goals. Like this is great. Like what are the goals of this person versus another? What are the frustrations? What are the pain points they have? That kind of stuff. And then it'll be useful. I think there's no, yeah, it's just like, I'm criticizing these, I guess, because I'm coming from my perspective of like these types of categories don't really help me, but whatever works, right? Mm-hmm. Ultimately, yeah, it's really just like if you can create personas, just even the fact that like we had like 3 that we started off with, and then we did some research and realized like we had kind of like lumped too many people into one, and then we split one in half, and it's like, oh, we've got some different users with different needs and different levels of technical skills, and you know, if they come to our site they might want this, but then oh, maybe they need this, and then these other people need this thing, so now we've got like 3 different things to think about to make sure that each of those personas like gets to their end goal in some way or another. And that's about it.
Well,
I never want to talk about personas again.
I thought it was great. It's important. In-depth chat on personas.
What else is fun?
I'm trying to think of something more to say about personas. I kind of remember when they were first coming into the industry, when it was like all of a sudden it was like a thing that you had to plan for. Like, do you remember that around like 2011, 2012, people started actually talking about like planning for specific users and planning for specific demographics.
Yeah, and
demographics around the time of the responsive web.
It was like you said before, where it was like they were really just depictions of our ideal users. Of like, oh, this is this person. This is like Super Steve, and he's like a power user. He knows everything.
Yeah, he's really good.
He spreads the good word of our brand.
Yes, exactly.
You know, like
he
that
really
person,
enjoys our
like,
brand and is excited to share it with his friends on social media.
Exactly.
And
it's
is
like,
fucking
oh, well,
useless. Nobody's like that. I feel the same way.
Or it's just like, oh, it'll be easy to get that person.
I feel the same way when I see someone like Pop-Tarts or just some like, you know, one of those brands, like fucking...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can't, you know, those uncrustable frozen peanut butter and jam sandwiches that you and I researched way too much one time because their brand presence online was a lot, or like Gatorade,
it was...
or just the fucking the lower rung. Anyway, they do. If you watch them online, they'll do like contests and social outreach programs and things online that you're like, nobody in their fucking right mind would ever do that. They're like, take a picture of you drinking your fucking, you know, liquid breakfast sandwich milkshake thing from our company and tag 15 of your friends and tweet it at us, and you could win one of whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody ever does those things.
Those are all, yeah, like 8 people do. And they have to figure out, like, how do we stretch this content out for like 8 weeks?
To the point,
submitting
dude,
anything.
That next time you see like Charmin doing a giveaway for a certain hashtag, click that hashtag and see how many people have actually responded to it, because sometimes it's like next to fucking none.
Man, maybe we should start entering these things. We could probably win.
We should start entering these things. I bet you could. You know, or what was one I saw the other day? It was like Wendy's or something like that. Some fast food chain, and they were bringing back a fan favorite, or like something that they had sold at some point in time. And they were like, we know that you're really out there clamoring for this like new chicken sandwich that you've been dying for, and finally we've listened to it. Like, we're bringing it back. And I saw someone else tweeting about it. They were like, if you search this chicken sandwich on Twitter, there's like one mention of it in the last 5 years.
Wow.
Like, you know, it's just
kind of like faking it.
Well, faking it. And I guess the point is like companies developing their ideal scenario and planning for that rather than what people are actually like. Which is, I'm never going to take a picture of me and my family with your product and put it on Facebook and tag you. What is that?
What's a picture?
Oh, is that your persona? Oh, dude, can we please make your persona?
So bad.
Fucking degenerate, hipster, scumbag.
The degenerate hipster.
Doesn't work. Doesn't contribute to society. Disagrees with authority.
Yeah.
Anarchist. Yeah.
Anarchist. I was looking up the difference between anarchy and libertarianism. I don't want to get into that discussion because I don't know enough about it. But I was like,
you know what?
Sounds like the same thing, but I know they're not.
I'll tell you something. This is our show, and we can absolutely spend a half an hour talking about that very topic. We're at 10 though, so let's take a quick break. We'll be back in 5. I really want to work on this persona thing. Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll be right back. Fine. right, we're back. Right in time. Ian, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
Feeling like a persona.
I finally feel like a persona.
I finally feel like my true persona.
I'm trying to think how to make a flexible poll component here. Like, I need 5 panels with specific results, but at the same time, I want it to be flexible. Like, I just want it.
You mean
one button?
These are the answers, right? All right. Here's.
So what I want is
your
button.
poll's nicer, so let's start with that. But as I said, I was fucking around with my poll thing earlier, and I know what I would do differently if I could do it again. So here's what.
Okay, just before you do this, the elements in here, I've got a percentage meter that I want to appear.
Oh,
so
do you? Are there components inside this?
Not components, but there's pieces to it.
Okay.
So we get that in there. I was just making it smaller, so that's 36. We'll make that 36.
Why does that look weird? Oh, the percent's in the front.
What?
The percent's in the front, like $1.
Oh, it is. Oh, man.
I was like, why does this look weird? And when you said what, I'm like, am I crazy? Did we flip into an alternate, like the Mandela effect, where it's like, no, percent goes in front?
Yeah, dude, it's
always been like that.
It's always been like that. It's the brown stain bear. It's obviously. Okay, and there's 2 other things happening in this component just before you go off. We have an inactive state, so we have 1 color. The height of these need to be adjusted. And these are held outside of frame so that when you see a transition, it happens. But we have 1 that's active, so this is the one you clicked, appears in green. And the other results that you didn't click appear in this awful mauvey muddy color. So yeah, so what I would like to do...
So one of them is green and the rest will be like darker pink? Oh yeah, they're over here.
Yeah. Now, these are predetermined, because like in a demo for a prototype, you're just going to click the thing that it's scripted, so you're going to click the thing that you want. So I did these as discrete items. However, it would be nice if it was just in one and I could like do it dynamically somehow. Like, can I set a property or... Right?
Like set a property to make the percent thing increase? Like make it look filled?
Well, I want to achieve the effect that I have going on over here where I made 4 variants, so there's like 1 for each one that you could possibly click. I'd like to achieve that effect with as few pieces as possible.
Gotcha. I understand.
And I made it a little smaller because I actually wanted to fit like an iPhone frame. So I should zoom in on this because nobody that's watching knows what we're talking about. On my monitor.
And I thought it was like a thing on the screen, and I'm like, why can't I select this item?
Yeah, I do that constantly. I'm like, oh, there's like a little vector blurb over here I need to delete. Nope, just spaghetti gunk. There's no auto layer or anything applied to this. Like, this component could be built better. But again, I've got those backgrounds, so...
Well, that's the good thing. We should be able to make this like one base component.
That's my thought. At the very least, if we have like a well-built base component that you change like through 5 variations or whatever.
Yeah, and I always like... I used to do it like that, and then I started to try and save time and just do these variants, but what was I going on about that? Oh yeah, so yeah, it shouldn't matter if it's not perfect. The whole point is like we should be able to change this later. So the trick that I'm gonna do, before there were variants, this is kind of how you had to do stuff in Figma anyway. But you make a component.
And you do. I mean,
We'll
to
call
be
this
clear,
pull
when you're
item.
prototyping things, this is a sort of web-based prototype. Jesus, I did the percent thing last week too. That's wild.
I didn't even notice it that time.
Is with a prototype, that is crazy. You do have to fake it. Like, it's not going to be a real web app, so you have to do certain things like.
Yeah.
I read a tutorial the other day that was like using hotspots, like hover hotspots to trigger scroll effects and stuff like that. Like, it's not going to be a one-to-one thing.
I find it. Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot easier if you're the one presenting a prototype to someone, because you can like put little tricks in and be like, oh, then I click this and it scrolls. You can do like the click to scroll thing, but stuff that you can't do. You can be like, oh, and then I do this and then this happens, and then I click my next prototype. Sometimes I'll put like secret links like in the footer or something.
Just to make it work, yeah.
Yeah, then it's like it's hard when you're sharing it out to people where it's like not everybody even knows. That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out at work. Sometimes it's like, do people even really know how to use a prototype, or do they get this link and like I didn't do a good job explaining what a prototype is, because I kind of probably assume I assume that it's easy, but then other people maybe they don't know like about the hotspots even. And it's like, and then might be too embarrassed to ask, like, to how to use it, because I never get much feedback from prototypes, except from like one person, and then we always have to have a meeting to go over it, which is good. I like having meetings to talk about it, but I think that I think there's a disconnect between how I'm sharing things. I guess I'll put the blame on myself and say, yeah.
It's a tough middle ground. I was doing some maybe not internal. I was doing some testing last week where I had to make prototypes that were just turned over to people to use. And you have sort of a brief amount of time to contextualize what they're going to be doing. We just want you to use it. There's no right and wrong way. Here's how you use it, but at the same time, like, you don't want to make a prototype where every single thing is clickable and all eventualities are planned for, because, just make the app, like, develop it at that point. So you gotta kind of strike a middle ground. It can be tough. Testing is tough too when you walk away from testing prototypes, because, like you had mentioned, as soon as you walk away, you're like, oh, I know exactly how I should have approached this better. Mm-hmm. Or like questions I could have asked that would have been more effective.
All right. Well, I think I'm already.
So maybe it's just taking. So is this like a flexible item? I already know why that doesn't work. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the reason I did that was like it should cascade to all of them, but you can override it. But now the problem is though is I can't increase the size of these. So this method doesn't seem to work for this. You know what I mean?
What do you mean? You can't.
Like I can't make the selection thing appear.
For pull item?
Yeah, for like this one. Like the indicator inactive, I can't resize it because it's in a component.
I did it.
This thing?
Oh, right.
Because if you make a variant off this, because what I did was create an instance of this, and then I wrapped that in another component, basically, which then gives you one base component. Because the problem that I have with these variants is, when you do it, just you make a
how I did last week, where it's like these are just again very discrete, just grouped items.
Yeah. The problem is like, well, that's not a good example. But if you're like, oh, the font should be bold, then you've got to like click every one of them and go through it and bold them all. I've had them. That's not even the worst problem. I've had ones where I just like needed to change like the sizing of like the box inside, and you had to go in every single one and resize stuff. So if you do it this way, you hit bold and it bolds everything.
Yeah, no,
you
that
just have
makes
one
sense.
Base component, but then I can't. Just the way that you have to use these, you can't easily select that. You'd have to make this like, you'd have to do it like this, and then do that, and then do this, and then do that. But like then you wouldn't be able to really. Yeah, you still wouldn't be able to dynamically resize them. You would still have a set.
You still end up making one for each one kind of thing.
Yeah, so I don't know if that helps anything. Oops.
Sorta, no. I mean, it brings me back to this is the most logical solution, and just making 4 of these. Because again, what I wanted to do was take this poll that we were working on last week, and make a bit of a carousel out of it with like a next button. So you make your selection, and then you can continue on to the next question, kind of thing. I don't know.
I do know. Hold on. Let me...
He knows, folks. Pull it out.
You make a variant here. Variant
it's like that. It's like that Zuckerberg movie. What was it? The Social Network. Did you ever watch that?
I did. Yeah.
It's like you're fucking like, I've got it, and you're typing super fast, and you make the component, and people are just freaking out at this party. They're like, fucking yeah.
Whoa,
man.
he's got it.
He fucking got it. And you make this like dope prototype, and the client walks in the door, and then you like present it real quick, and they're on board. They're just like, yes, no revisions, get this made. And everyone's like, wow, there's fucking natty lights going everywhere.
Whoa. So like that, I mean, I don't know if this is superior. It kind of...
Okay, but each poll, and say there's 4 of them, is going to have different...
Yeah. So... It's not ideal either.
So I could call this panel 1. I'm just gonna go about this like very tedious, shitty method.
Yeah, because
so these are the This is what I'm thinking would require.
I mean, this will get it done, and it's like, yeah.
It just feels shitty because it's like, it's sort of like coding. I know we're not coding here. To those who code, I'm sorry, but like, you want it to be as efficient and lovely as possible, right?
Yeah, and like this method I've used for other things, but yeah, it's better for things like buttons or form fields, right? Where you don't have this dynamic element that could be anything. Like you can.
So for
like this, an image, you can do it with text. Oh, shit.
For the sake of this prototype, I'm just going to use the same polling element across multiple panels.
I'm going to try and figure this out.
Whoa. Jesus Christ. I've been working in this field for a while, like 15 years, and I still get shocked when caps lock is on, like mortally shocked, like I might die in a moment, shocked, like ugh.
Capitals lock.
Capitals lock. Capital lock. It sounds like a police state, like punk band.
Oh, what did I saw today? It was like a metal band of designers or something called Full Bleed. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Awesome. Shout out to whoever said that on Twitter. I don't know, but I thought that was pretty funny. It's an epic band name, Full Bleed. Just checking our live chat.
Their lead single is called Print is Dead. Because Bleed's a print joke. Shout out to all the print designers out there.
Print design.
Print design's still a thing, but you don't have to think as much. You can just make things and export them. And they print. You just send a guy a PDF and it comes back like pretty good.
I hate the idea of designing a print thing. Because once it's gone to print, you can never change it. At least with a website, it's like, oh, no worries.
I actually had that happen once.
No problem. Typo? No one will even see it. Let's go in and change that right now. Log right in.
very, very early out of school, I designed a thing that had like a 1200 print run, and it had a mistake on it, and then we had to print stickers, and then I had to put a sticker on all 1200 of these things. Ugh. Not in web.
I mean, I'm assuming that happens to everybody. I remember, I swear,
at some point
I
you have to have like a design disaster to know, like, holy shit.
Everyone screws up at some point. If you're print design, yeah, it's going to be something that gets printed. I swear I worked at a place. I felt so bad. I don't think I followed up, but I'm pretty sure I worked somewhere where a billboard got made with an error on it.
Oh,
and they're like
really?
trying to get it canceled, and it just was too late.
Was that? Did I work there?
No.
Oh.
I'll tell you after.
Yeah, billboard would be pretty bad.
That would be a bad one. I wouldn't handle that well, personally.
Do you remember that time with the holding site?
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking of. I'll never forget that. I feel like that put a fear in my body that guides me to this day.
You'll never make that mistake. You couldn't. It's like, it would be like peeing your pants on purpose. It's just like physically impossible.
Your body won't let you do it.
No, it hates it.
I mean, you shouldn't be mean. You shouldn't. No, this isn't a story about where someone like was mean to me, but like fear isn't a good way to motivate people. I don't think it should be your strategy, but fear is a hell of a motivator. Because
yep.
It sure is. Like we might not have I mean, even with the pandemic, it didn't seem to scare people enough. People need to be a little more afraid. I think we're too comfortable society, Western society today. A little too.
All right.
A little too easy.
Fucking go with it. Go with it, Tim Dillon. Fucking
this is if anyone was watching, I'd be canceled already, because that's such a privileged statement. But we really do have it pretty easy.
Is it a privileged statement to say, like, we're maybe a little bit too privileged? Well, it's part and parcel with this whole, like, society is collapsing piece by piece, brick by brick, in front of our eyes, live and in color. Live and in 4K on YouTube, the world is collapsing. You sort of start to feel like maybe like when does it all come down? Like, we live in a very nice country, a peaceful country. We have a lot of problems, but we don't have as many problems, even as many as our neighbors in North America. It sort of starts to feel like eventually, like, when is the fucking sword gonna drop here? Like,
you can't everything. There's an equal and opposite reaction. It's like you eat candy every day.
Yeah. What?
You can't. It just can't. It can't be good all the time.
What? I'm sorry. Sorry, what? Yeah, that's fair. So this doomsday that you speak of, it's coming like soon?
I don't know.
Hey, here's
I mean,
a really good example.
I feel like everybody probably goes through that, where it's like, as they get to a certain age and point in their life, it just feels like everything's, you kind of like, get more perspective, and it feels like everything's getting terrible, but things just continue on. Like, I'm sure
well, your priorities change.
Well, like, society should have collapsed like many times, and it kind of hasn't. I guess there's kind of civil wars and stuff.
I mean, societies have collapsed, I guess you could say.
Who knows?
I do. I feel like it'll probably be like a week or two, and the whole thing will fall apart.
What is this?
Sounds reasonable.
Well, I think it's reasonable. Added to that effect is, we work at desks, and we work remotely. I have too much time to sit here and design and think about the end of the world, Ian.
Oh, I just thought of a way you could do this.
Can you observe me for a second? I want to show you a problem I have often that doesn't come up in graphic design, or not graphic design, I guess UI design. This poll that I'm working on.
Design problem or a Figma problem?
A design problem, but I think it's a design problem that comes up when you do deeper prototyping. So I have these 3 polling options. And when you select one of these polling options, a next question text link is going to appear. Like pretty simple option. Gotcha. I want users to feel like they can change their answer before they register it and go to the next option. Easy. So now I've got an invisible element, and I've got this carousel slider under here. And it looks awful, and it's unbalanced. Typically, without doing the prototyping or, doing the deeper look at how this thing is going to work, you would get a design that ends up like that. And you go to dev, and you go... They can select an answer, and it turns green, and then you go to the next panel. And that's where that conversation starts. And I just find it interesting with now that not only are you responsible for designing a web page, you got to make sure it is going to go through development in a way that is going to work and be on budget and be okay. And anyway, I thought that was a good example of one of those design issues that come up when you're going through this that you would almost never think about unless you were doing it.
So what's the solution? So, but you want to have that text link underneath.
I do want to have that text link up here.
So I don't know if this is on the same.
Maybe I have
it
there,
thinking.
but it's gray and not active.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to ask you, were you asking me about should it be appear and stretch the area out? Because that's what I was going to ask you. It's what are you going to do with that? Because I don't know. I don't know the solution.
We could make it look inactive. It's hard to make a text link inactive, and I don't want to make it a button. We could make that
because you don't want the
flex.
height to change. But
the height, we could make the height of the container flex. That works.
Would that be bad? What if these dots were outside of the container?
Oh, that's the fucking solution, isn't it, Gov? Yep, I just called you Gov.
Is that better? But can you still remove the text?
Hilarious. So that text link still needs to be not there sometimes, but this is a much more balanced look, right?
I think so. This is it's definitely an issue.
So
I'm stuck on it now too.
We can. I mean, this is the smurging. This is the pixel pushing part, I guess, is you just fuck with things until they're balanced. I had changed that in here, so I actually want to make sure that I change it in the component and not on the canvas itself. I also want to make sure that it matches that style before I...
So is it going to appear when you make a selection, or is it going to be disabled?
It appears only when you make a selection.
Okay. I think that sounds good. It's just, it makes that challenge of the spacing, but I think it'll look good like that.
That's
the stuff that I like. That's the stuff that I don't have to do sometimes.
Well, and
just be somebody else can figure this out.
I'll explain to you what I was worried about was
because I'm just wireframing.
The spacing on the top and the bottom of this container needs to be generally the same.
Yeah, I know.
So maybe we can reduce that a little bit, and then that will feel better. I'll make that fill. You can probably see this on stream. Ian, you can't see it, but that being able to take a group of items in Figma, and it separates the different colors. It's you've got a gray in here and a white and a this and a that. and then you can change them individually is like so helpful. So that's cool. So that should... I'll get a comment mode here. Prototype, okay. I'll try it. Yeah, okay. So that next question comes in. That's all right.
Hey, my cat's here.
Hey, cat. Come on stream.
Look, a cat.
We'd honestly probably get more viewers if we
views.
just... If we just pointed, we should put a little camera on a tripod and point it at your cat some night, and we'll start a live stream, and it's just called, hey, look at this cat. Let's see how many viewers we get. I bet you it will be more than in-depth persona mapping discussions.
Well, I play like...
That shouldn't be true.
I play like food hockey with my cat. That would probably get some viewers.
Okay,
like,
yep.
Where I like throw the food and he tries to... I try and get it past him, basically. He's like a little goalie trying to stop the puck, little food puck.
That's apparently good for them. They want to hunt for their food, so if you can kind of toss it around and sort of jostle them about and they feel like they have to get it, it's like better for their soul?
That makes sense, actually.
I guess.
I like it.
Have you ever seen the food dishes where it's almost like a puzzle? It's not a puzzle. It's sort of like a cat puzzle. Like, it's like a non-traditional shape, and they sort of have to fuck with it to get the food out of it. Apparently, they like that.
I can see the logic behind that. Yeah, I was doing it because it gets him running. Because when we play, he's not like a fast player. He's like a slow prowler. And I was like, you're not getting any cardio, cat. You indoor cat.
Heart
like
health.
I'm like, as you get it, I need to get him like running.
That's
Lazy.
interesting. My cat is a rescue from the out of doors, so she spent a considerable amount of time out of doors, and like I love this little thing. She's a very sweet little cat, but I think her brain she's not like she can't do like cat things very well. Like she can't jump and like. I mean, she does, but she's just not great at it. Like, she misses things sometimes, and, like, you know, she can't really run around because she smokes herself into a wall. Anyway, what was I saying? You would really find her so funny.
Never had a positive role model?
Yeah, she never had, like, a strong sort of, like, independent cat in her life. Oh, what did you do?
What?
Scroll
to the cat or
the
this
rectangle.
text?
You added some scroll to interactions to my thing?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe
What do you mean?
my carousel has some like interactions, some scroll to interactions on it.
Does it? Where?
It's like it's all messed up. She's all fucked up, bud. Get out of
She's
here.
right fucked.
She's right
No,
fucked.
I don't think I did anything.
Oh, something happened. Okay.
I might have.
It's just kind of broken anyway. So those pips can be part of a larger component that I'm then going to stuff this poll component in. So, quick review. Built this poll component. I think that'll work everywhere because it's a prototype, so we just want generic answers. And then I'm going to build a second component out of this whole poll prototype thing. Yeah, bish. Okay.
Yeah, babe.
How am I going to do this? Because I kind of... What I want is... No, I can do this. I want that carousel piece to be static, but then the container is going to sort of H-scroll a little bit. You know what I mean?
A little H scroll. A little horizontal scrolly.
Little horizontal scroll. So I don't know if you see that, but like you can see like so in the UI you see like the next container peeking out. So you see the next container peeking out, which is a pain in the ass because it's always going to cost you 20 pixels, but it's got to peek out, and then we have the carousel indicator pips at the bottom. I would say for users, that's enough to say this thing is going to scroll. Although it doesn't scroll until you interact with it, so maybe showing that next step sucks. Because if you see that next step, you think, oh, I can two-finger scroll over. Oh, just zoop, zoop, zoop kind of thing, but you actually can't. So maybe you could introduce like a jitter animation or something in there. I don't know.
I like this. Yeah, the amount you're showing is appropriate for something that you can't really grab onto, maybe. If it was bigger, if you could see the words and stuff next, like, it would be harder, you know what I mean? Because people would think they could do it. You could, I kind of think it looks good like that, but I think if you didn't have it, you've still got these to tell people there's more coming, so you're okay. Or you could have like a progress bar that just goes in quarter increments. A progress bar looks less intimidating at first because you don't know how many questions there are, although that might be bad because it might make it look like it's long too.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm sort of caught at when I see that next card peeking out, I assume that I can scroll to it. Because what we're doing here is it's sort of a two-step thing where it's like you need to select an option and then anchor that option by saying next question or submit answer, or like it's a larger interaction. Whereas that tells me I can scroll. I should just ditch it. I'm gonna ditch it.
Ditch it. Ditch it good. You can ditch it.
You can ditch it. Did you
ditch
see,
it good.
You saw that clip of I sent you the other day of Weird Al and Mark Mothersbaugh?
Yeah.
And so the story is Weird Al wanted to make a Devo song. Like, not a parody, not like a direct parody of one of Devo's songs. He was like, I'm just gonna, I really love your band, so I want to make a song like your band. And Mark Mothersbaugh was the singer of Devo. He's now gone on to be a soundtrack person on basically everything. He's a mega famous musician. But anyway, so Weird Al is telling the story, and he's like, you know, I'd like to do this song, and I really like Devo. So one night I got a chance to actually play it for Mark Mothersbaugh, and he goes, I think he likes it. You know, I think he liked it. He said, you know, that sounds really good. I wish we could get our synths to sound like that. And he left. And he was like, yeah, I think you liked it. And then it cuts to an interview with Mark Mothersbaugh, and he goes, I was in complete shock. He was like, it was the most beautiful song I had ever heard in my life. And I hate him for it, basically.
I hated him for it. Then it just cuts. It's like...
And it just cuts. It's like, fucking, that's so funny. Somebody parodied his song, and he heard it and went, oh my god, this guy is so talented. That's great. You can whip it. What's another good Devo song? Slap Your Mama?
I don't know. I have a Devo album.
Slap Your Mammy. Ooh, that's a...
Hey, check
I hated
this.
saying
So,
that word.
here's one thing that I'm trying. I might have solved our little hack thing here.
Okay.
So check this out. I haven't tried to see if it'll work as a component yet, but I think it will. Because in component variants, you can't change like the size of shit around, but you can change text. So hopefully this will work. But when I I made a layer that changes size with the text, and I made the text invisible, so I can just type characters and it will increase the size of the bar. Then you just put your label back on over top of it. Oops, I fucked that up. Wait.
I'm trying
it
hard
already
to
doesn't work,
interpolate.
does it?
Hey, so between you and me, two designers, late night here. The other day, I had somebody ask me to take a look at their Figma file. I'm having trouble. Can you help me and take a look at my Figma file? As a friend of mine. and I took a look at it, and Ian, it was so broken and fucked up and just fundamentally wrong that I didn't even know what to say. I was like, I can't. It's like you've tied a knot so tight in your pair of headphones that you might as well just throw them in the garbage. Like start anew.
Yeah. Don't try.
Oh my god, dude, it would be like a component in an auto layout that was then stored in another component, and they all had the same name. And I'm like, there's no fucking chance the software is going to be able to interpolate this. It was brutal. So it made me feel really good about the state of my files. And I thought you would appreciate that story. And I know you did. I feel like you're so impressed that you're just mouth agape. Not trying to focus on Figma.
I'm imagining the file.
On me.
And I'm wondering, I'm thinking back to a time when I had a file that was like, I had to drag this bar out, like this far, because there were multiple layers deep.
Yeah. Yep.
I want to see this file.
I want to see your file.
All right. Let's see if this works. There's one way.
I'm going to make an H-scroll component. Actually, I can probably do it with that.
Can we do it in 13 minutes?
Well, we're actually at the 90-minute mark. If you want to wrap this up and save it for next week, we can.
Yeah, maybe that's a good time to cut her off.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. We didn't get any work done. We talked a lot about work that we wanted to get done, but we didn't get any work done, and,
sometimes that's just how a day goes as a designer.
Damn, have you ever had those days? This is maybe a whole other discussion, but have you ever had a day where you're like, I'm going to knock down this huge deadline, and then you work all day and get nothing done, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, this will take a couple hours, and then it's like 8 hours later, and you're like, this is going to take another 8 hours.
One problem that you came up with took 2.5 hours to solve, and you're like, how do I bill for this? Just like you go into Jira and you're like 2.5 hours, desperate confusion, sweating, panic,
pure
clawing at the walls, terror, existential feelings. Well, yeah, that brings us up to about 11. That's our government mandated COVID 90 minutes of entertainment. Thank you so much for joining us on the Hi There Show. My name is Nick Brunt. This is Ian Conrad. You can get at us if you have any questions or comments. If you have anything you want us to design, we're dying to get like a freelance file that we can do live on the air. And we think that'd be really fun.
Cool together.
Let's make something fucking cool together and largely free. Terms to be discussed. But look, get in touch with us. That's the Hi There Show at gmail.com. The Hi There Show at gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at Hi There Tweets. Just Google Ian Conrad or Nick Brunt. You'll find us. Ask us design questions because we'd love to help. And we love you. And Ian, I love you too. And that's it.
I love you, Nick.
I've been waiting to hear it for years. I love you, Figma. At Figma.
No, I don't.
At Figma Design.
Send me a t-shirt.
Like love hate. Send me a fucking t-shirt. Make us.
My colleague has an Asana. The project manager at my company has an Asana t-shirt. And he's all walking around like the fucking king of the world saying,
cock of the
project
walk.
management is great. Design doesn't matter at all. And UX isn't important because I don't have a t-shirt.
Because budgets.
If you want...
He said to me, and I was like, is it because of your t-shirt? And he went, no, fuck you. It's because budgets. And then he just closed his laptop and left. So look, get at us. Figma, we want to be influencers. You got anything else? You got any shout-outs?
No.
Special announcements?
Nada.
All right. That is so it.
Evening.
have a good evening. Thank you so much
Stay
for joining
hydrated.
us. Stay hydrated. That's a good one.
That's non-controversial, right?
It's maybe the least controversial thing a human can say. It's like, do you have any recommendations for me? It's like, yes, I think.
Although if the government came out,
breathe oxygen
government comes
and
out and
drink
makes an
water when you're
announcement.
thirsty.
You need to drink water, and it's like, no, you don't tell me what to do.
The government mandates.
That's how we get. How do we
the
get
government
these people
mandates
to like, kill
one
themselves?
glass of water a day, and they fucking burn the country for it. They burn the countryside.
They go on a water strike and die of dehydration. Cool.